This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Morning, Bob. What's going on a Thursday? How are you?
Hey, how you guys doing? I just doing a little bit of work here before heading to Alabama tomorrow.
Yeah, when do you guys? Oh, so you guys are leaving tomorrow. Are you driving? It's a decent drive from Fayetteville to Tuscaloosa.
No, we're actually flying to Birmingham. They have a direct flight, kind of like they did with Baton Rouge. I don't know, maybe Arkansas officials talked to the airlines about it, but no, we got a decent airfare on a direct flight from XNA to Birmingham. So flying to Birmingham, and obviously that's about a 45-minute hour drive to Tuscaloosa, and then flying back. So yeah, direct flight's really nice. You don't have to go through Dallas or Atlanta or Charlotte or wherever the heck you might have to go through. It helps a lot.
Certainly will. Well, travel safe, and while you're there, hopefully see a good football game. This is one of those series. It's like you would see, and I guess maybe this would be the case for a lot of programs that have had a lengthy losing streak to a team. I'm sure when you go back and look at Kentucky's streak against Georgia, which is longer than Arkansas's losing streak to Alabama, there are going to be some tight ball games in there here and there. While Sam Pittman's been the head coach, they're 0-3 against them, but they've given Alabama a couple of good games. I hope that we see the same thing Saturday against an Alabama team that might look like they're beginning to find their identity.
Yeah, I know Alabama's. I think the last time I looked, they were about an 18.5-point favorite. Maybe they're a 21-point favorite, depending on which line you look at. But yeah, obviously not many people, if any, are giving Arkansas a shot to win. I'm sure the Arkansas players and coaches feel like they can win, and maybe some very diehard fans. But you just never know. College football can be a crazy sport, and I'm certainly not predicting Arkansas is going to go down there and win. But crazier things have happened. I saw Mike Irwin was was tweeting about this earlier in the week. Longtime TV guy up here in Northwest Arkansas. That in 1992, of course, that was the year Arkansas lost to Citadel. Then the very next week went to South Carolina and won 45-7. And South Carolina obviously won the juggernaut, but you don't expect a team to lose to the Citadel at home. They go on the road and beat by 38 points. And then that year, the really signature win was Barry Lenny's first start at quarterback, I believe it was. Arkansas went to Tennessee and beat the number 4 Vols on the last-second field goal by Todd Wright. And Mike's point was that, Arkansas is going to beat, they're going to beat Alabama again someday, and you're not going to see it coming. Nobody's going to expect it, just like nobody expected Arkansas to win at Tennessee. So, every year or really every week practically, Arizona took USC to, was it triple overtime last week? We were listening to that game driving back from Oxford back to the Memphis area where we stayed. You just never know, man. And so I think for Arkansas, they really have no pressure on them. Nobody expects them to win for the most part, so they can go down there and just kind of a free shot and just kind of let it all hang out, I think was the term Sam Pittman used, and just see what happens.
Bob, how do you see this offense performing in Tuscaloosa against this Alabama defense? It's going to be loud. We've kind of struggled with false start penalties and pre-snap penalties. It'd be a good environment. Do you think they're used to it? Do you think they're up to it? What do you see this offensive game plan being?
Well, I do think the fact they already played at LSU and at Ole Miss, so they're used to tough places to play, loud environments. Certainly, I don't think it gets any louder than Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night. And maybe they'll get a little bit of a break playing a morning game. I know road coaches, when your team's on the road, coaches like to play morning games because the crowd maybe isn't quite as revved up, and obviously. They'd have a good record no matter what time the game started, but he's 26-0 in these games that start, before noon. But, I think playing on the road should help them. Even though they lost to Ole Miss, maybe that game gives them a little bit of confidence. They're playing well defensively, and Alabama's really good, but they're maybe not, the number one, team in the country. They're a very good team, and I'm certainly not comparing Arkansas to Texas went in there and won by 10. And so I think Arkansas can go in there and give them a good game. The pre-snap penalties, they got to deal with the crowd. I think it will help if they get off to a good start. Obviously, and maybe Alabama's overlooking them a little bit. they seem to ride the ship. They've beaten Arkansas 16 straight years, and I know one season doesn't lead into the next. Arkansas had went down there since 2003. I think you probably remember that game. Arkansas was down 31-10, guys, with Matt at quarterback. A lot of other good players came back and won. I think in double overtime, beat Joe Kynes. Maybe it was single overtime. Anyway, Arkansas came back.
It was double overtime. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you never know, but yeah, I think Arkansas. I think at some point the offense. I mean, I don't think Dan Enos is a bad coach. I think they've got some good players. I think at some point the offense is going to break out. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to gain 500 yards at Alabama, but I do think they can put a good game together. Maybe this is the week to do it. Obviously, it's not easy to do that at Alabama, but, we know K.J. Jefferson's a good quarterback. We know Rocket Sanders is a good running back. I don't think the line has not played well, obviously, but I think, they can play better. And obviously, they got Ty Washington emerged as a weapon at tight end. They've got some decent receivers. And so, they're going to need to get some breaks, but, I don't think it's the impossible dream for Arkansas to give Alabama a game. I'll put it that way. I certainly expect Alabama to win, as probably does most, 99% of everybody else. But I don't think it's like Arkansas is going to go in there and just lay down and get plastered. I think Arkansas can give them a game.
I think part of it, if they do, it comes down to a field position game because, I would hope Alabama, Milroe had his best game of his career last week against A&M. That's the same with Burton, the receiver that had nearly 200 yards worth of receiving. So, I felt the same way last week going into the Ole Miss game. Ole Miss won't play as good as they did the week before. They really got up for LSU. I think the same about Alabama. I think that, they knew that was a battle for the division lead going on the road and against a program that has beaten some of those players before in Texas A&M. So I would think there'd be a little regression here.
Years ago, I think the last time I looked, Alabama was favored by about 1.5. There's over 100,000, Aggie fans there. I guess a few Alabama fans sprinkled in. But, yeah, that was a huge game for Alabama, and it would be natural for them to have a little bit of a letdown coming back home to play an opponent they've dominated. It's a morning kickoff. So I think there are some intangibles that let you think that I think Arkansas can give them a game. Well, I think Arkansas, they're sick of losing. I think they have a lot of pride, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I do think they'll give a really good effort.
Your special
what
teams,
happens, but I don't think Arkansas is going to go in there out by any stretch of the imagination.
We're losing a little bit of your connection there, Bob, but we'll continue. That is one aspect of Alabama that I don't know if it probably has been talked about some. You were on the teleconference the other day. One area where Alabama is really good are the specialists.
Did they get a block against A&M, Phil?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they've got a block. Their field goal kicker Reichert is perfect this year. He may end up doing the punting. And that's kind of in Saban's DNA is to play that field position game. So I think in a lot of cases what's important for Arkansas, look, you're going to have some drives that you start at your own 20. It's going to be tough to go 80 yards down the field. But you got to get a couple of first downs. I'm not telling you you're going to play a 9-6 game or a 14-7 game. But if you have a chance to win, it may have to stay in the 20s somehow. Field position is going to be part of that. Your punting game is going to be big in this one if you have a chance to win.
Yeah, so you talking about Cam Little?
Well, Cam Little too. Yeah, I mean, if you bring it close to the 40-yard line now, you have a sense, you have a feel that they'll let Cam get a look. I mean, that's what I mean. If it's a field position 55. Game, then also part of it. I think he kicked 56 last week.
That's about his. That's what you're thinking. You feel confident with, a 56-yard field goal. That's yeah.
Who knows? Maybe we learn the extent of his range this Saturday, Bob.
Well, Sam said on a Zoom with us yesterday that he hit a 58-yarder in practice. And so, you don't want to try 58-yard field goals. But, Cam said that he was on a Zoom, too, with us that he tries to be very honest with the coaches, and tell them, he kicks pregame and kind of figures out his range, and he wants to give them, like they say, can you hit, like where do we have to get to for you to feel comfortable hitting the field goal? And he'll give them what he feels is a truthful answer and an accurate answer because, he doesn't want to try to be the hero and then he goes in there and misses, a 58-yarder and then that gives Alabama or whoever they're playing good field position. And so, I mean, he had like a 52 and a 50-yarder against A&M. Of course, that's in a controlled environment, playing indoors in AT&T Stadium. But, Yeah, he's showing a big leg, and really goes back to preseason camp. Sam Pitt was talking about that. So that's a great weapon to have. If as you said, it turns into a field position game, and Max Fletcher's punted much better than last year. He's obviously had some bad kicks too. And Alabama probably needs to be on alert for a fake, right? Because 2 years ago, Reed Bauer threw a touchdown pass down there on a fake field goal, I think it was, and then Max Fletcher got a first down on a fake field goal at LSU. I don't know if Arch tried that. It would depend on the look they're getting and obviously circumstances of the game. But that's something Alabama, I'm sure, is practice. Is possible fakes. That's just one more thing they got to spend time on because Arkansas has been successful with it.
Well, when you kick a 58-yard field goal, and like you said, with the field position change, you also have to field goal cover that. So I hope they understand that because Alabama put somebody back there and run it back on you. Bob, with Chris Paul having that injury last week, is he playing this week? How healthy are we on defense? Because I expect our defense, if we are to win this game, I think it's going to be a 27-24 type of victory. How healthy is this defense?
Well, it's tough after 6 games. I don't expect Chris Paul to play. I have no inside information. I just know he didn't dress out when we were at practice Monday and Tuesday, and but I don't think he's going to play, and that's obviously a big loss. But they do have some decent depth there at linebacker. I think Antonio Greer would probably start for him, and Antonio's had some good plays. Yeah, I don't expect Paul to play. I do think Cam Ball will probably be back. I think Nudie McLaughlin, who missed last week's game, he's been practicing, so I think he'll be back. But Paul's a big loss, but I think Antonio Greer will probably start for him. He's had a pretty solid season playing as a reserve. I think he's a quality player to put in there.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.